Yes, hi Peter. I wanted to ask you about what's the difference between density and dimension, in your opinion? You were saying
Okay.
earlier that people are very confused about when they use word third dimension, fifth or sixth dimension. What is it? Can you explain in your
Well,
word?
people got very excited about the word dimension, that we're going to go to a higher dimension. Back in, no, 2012, I don't know, it was something with the Mayan calendar. They said humanity is going to go into the fifth dimension. And then nothing happened. I mean, it was a nice day and everything, and people had nice meditations, But some people that were channeling this, they didn't want to admit that they were wrong. And they said, oh, I went into the fifth dimension, didn't you? Then so people keep quiet about that. But the word has caught on because it's very exciting that you can shift your reality. And we're going to another world. It's in a higher dimension. But the real word is density. If you know what a dimension is, like this glass of water has length, width, and depth, And even if I had this glass on a spaceship and we went into a higher frequency, it would still be a glass with length, width, and depth. My body would have length, width, and depth in higher densities. Then if you add to that time, you could call that a different density or different dimension, because just since I started talking, we're not in the same part of our solar system that we were. The Earth is traveling thousands of miles per hour. So we're in a different location. So if you want to describe an object, you would have to give the length, width, depth, and the time you observed it. Then you could locate it in space and time. But even if you go to a higher frequency, higher vibratory rate, even if you're ascended, there's still 3 dimensions. However, you could go beyond space and time completely. Like in the God consciousness, the consciousness of the one, where all outer phenomena cease to exist. So then you could call that, if you wanted, 5th dimension. But again, dimension does not really describe it because it's more of a non-dimension, like non-being. There's nothing to observe anymore. That you are it, whatever it is. There's no separation between you and it, you and the object. It's all just pure consciousness. And that is beyond space and time, beyond dimensions. So what people mean by shifting their reality, when people talk about going to a higher dimension, they mean higher density, where things are not as solid. Now, we know beings like Einstein have said matter is an illusion. Matter is just energy vibrating at a certain frequency. So if you increase your frequency, you could put your hand through the table, you could walk through the wall, something like that. I saw a being from a spaceship walk through the wall of my house, appearing as a physical being in front of me. But then when it was time for him to, the door was locked, but he walked out, through the door. So he could increase his frequency to a frequency that would penetrate the door, So anyway, it's just an effort to clear up the confusion between what dimensions. We're not going to higher dimensions, we're going to higher densities. And some of these souls that are coming to Earth have contacted me before they were born and told me that they were coming from the 5th density, not the 5th dimension.
So density is frequency, right?
Yeah, frequency, higher frequency.
Okay.
It's just like, if you turn on the internet, I'm in a Wi-Fi area. There could be 1,000 websites right here in the room with me, but I don't see them. I only see the one I'm tuned into, the one I typed into the bar. That's the one I see, but the others are here. So they're not in a higher dimension, they're in a higher density, higher frequency, and each one is slightly different, has a slightly different address, slightly different signature, energy signature, So it's these ascended masters. I've experienced Saint Germain materializing out of thin air and then dematerializing. But he still appeared as a three-dimensional being, And even when I see him in what we call a higher octave or a higher density, he still has height, width, depth, and is existing at a certain point in space-time. So it's just a question of linguistics. If we're going to talk about these things, it's nice to use the correct terms so we can be clearer in our understanding.
Thank you. So the higher density, it would be like going from the bottom to up, and this direction would be time, right? Or
Well,
what is parallel realities, or what is time? Is it the same thing?
time is something else. That takes a whole nother hour to talk about. Actually, time itself is an illusion. So if you think we're in a movie, we're in God's movie. And the end is already there,
So another question I had is about time. What is time? What is parallel realities?
That is something that really cannot be put into words, hardly. But on Earth, or the three-dimensional world, we perceive time in relation to space. That I'm here now, then in 10 minutes, I'm going to walk down the road. Then in half an hour, I will be at the post office. So I could say in half an hour, that's time. But still, it's only time in relationship to the space of here and there. So what if I could teleport myself there by thought? I didn't have to walk, I didn't have to drive. Then there would be no lapse of time. So then what is time? So some people have a vision of their life in the future. How does that happen? It hasn't happened yet. But nonetheless, people have that vision. I had a friend who, when he was 14 years old, he had a dream that he was sitting in a bar talking to a man who was wearing a flannel shirt, a very unusual colored shirt. And he remembered the subject of the conversation. So, 4 years later, whatever, the state he was in, you could go into a bar at the age of 18, went into a bar and sat down, and he started talking to this man. Then he suddenly realized this was the man in the dream. He was wearing the same shirt, and they had the exact conversation, word for word, he'd had in the dream 4 years before. So he had the feeling that his life was like a movie. It was already filmed, but he could only see the part where he was at the moment, but somehow when he was asleep that night, he had jumped ahead to a different part of the movie. So it makes you think then that what we think of time is not so set, it's more fluid, So when you go into the higher consciousness, you can go beyond space and time. So you have to go in deep meditation for that, or take the right kind of mushroom.
So in this case with your young friend, in this case that he skipped the movie and saw his future, does it mean that our life already pre-recorded? I'm just leaving it, so it's already set, and I'm living in my own movie. Does it mean that I don't have free will in this movie because it's already pre-recorded?
Where the free will is in what you do with the movie, like how you play your role. Let's say it's predetermined that we were going to have this conversation on this day and talk about these subjects. But what you do with the conversation is up to you, whether this empowers you or whether it confuses you, whether you get angry, whether you grow from it, that is up to you. So again, with like personal relationships, if somebody is to be in your life for a long period of time, like a parent or a child or a mate, that has been determined before you were born, that that person would arrive in your life at that time. But how you live your life with that person is up to you. If you learn to improve your communication skills, if you learn to not judge the other person, not to react, if you learn to be more patient, more loving person, that is where the free will is. Or are you just going to react? When they say something that you don't like, you're going to react and get angry at them. If you go within, observe yourself, and learn to correct those habitual patterns, then you can grow from the relationship and develop more, not only more love for the other person, more self-love. So the free will is really in what you do with the experiences and the situations.
So if I react differently, it's up to me what do I do in those situations with the specific person that triggering me. It would give me different outcomes, right? So that's what I don't understand when you say that we have pre-recorded movie with us. Does my reaction will change that movie? Or no, still not?
Yes,
not good.
Yes, it will change. But you still have a certain movie to live out, but you can make it better.
You can.
Yes. Yes. You have to believe that your thoughts and actions make a difference. Otherwise, you can say, why should I get out of bed in the morning if it's all predetermined? You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
still have to get out of bed and make an effort to make a difference. Now, maybe God knew that you were going to change anyway, and that's part of the movie too. But it only comes about through feeling that what you do is important. And it is important. You have to make the effort. Because I believe you can make a difference. You can make a change. So all the world leaders don't need to react the same way they have in the past. They could all sit down around the table and say, look, we'd all like to live in a peaceful world where there's prosperity, there's enough for everybody. Let's all get together and work out our issues,
So if you're saying, when you're saying that the movie is pre-recorded, like just with the example with your friend, when he was younger, he saw himself 4 years ahead in his dream. So that was pre-recorded movie. And if movie is pre-recorded, but you are making different choices than before, so then the question would be, if you are making choices and learning and growing from your choices, how your life could be that pre-recorded as in situation with your friend, that when he saw himself 4 years from now. Does make sense, the question?
Yeah. Well, this is where the concept of parallel timelines comes in.
Okay.
So what if you
What?
edit the movie? You say, I jump ahead and I see how this movie is going to end. I don't want it to end that way. So I'm going to change my energy, my thoughts, my actions right now. Then there's another movie goes off in a different direction, has a different ending.
Okay.
So that's the concept of alternate timelines.
Okay, so there's not just one movie pre-recorded, there's many movies that's going on at the same time.
But it's really all part of the same movie, but there's, it's like those movie theaters that have 6 theaters in them, You can go to cinema 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And there's a different movie playing in each one, but it's still the same theater.
Yep.
So let's call this movie Earth, 21st century.
Movie theater, it's Earth.
Movie theater Earth, but we all have our separate movies playing in the theater. So the point is, we have to act as though our every thought makes a difference. It's changing it. We're interacting with it, So we are all the movie's producer and director and cameraman and actor, and also the audience. And so this is where meditation comes in, to go into the stillness and be able to observe the movie without reacting. And say, okay, here's that person that always makes me angry. Instead of getting angry again, I'll try something completely different this time. And then you change the whole thing. You change the movie. I used to go into this restaurant. There was a waitress. She had something against me. I would try to be nice and she would be nasty. So one day I told her, after 3 years of this, I said, you're really a wonderful person. You have beautiful energy. And she was like shocked. And that changed it. From then on, she's been different, So I decided to change that movie. That movie would have gone on for the rest of my life, that I go in there and she's angry. And then I leave feeling bummed out. Oh man, there's that horrible waitress. She made me feel bad again, But I decided to change it. So
you change you make a choice to switch from one room in the movie theater to another one, right? That's what you did?
No, it's still my movie. It's still, I'm still in my theater, but I changed how I play my role in it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why it's so important every moment to be observing yourself. And like my friend Ramdas, his great message that everybody remembers, be here now. Be now in the present moment, be here and observe what is going on and be grateful even for the stressful things, because I am learning and I am alive. I've been given this wonderful life to learn and to grow. and to give blessings to other people. And in the end, I'm going to go back to merging with God. So the movie's going to have a happy ending, but it's up to me how I play it. I can play it consciously instead of just reacting to everything. Okay.